Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first blockbuster trade of the summer. Jimmy Butler has officially been traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves along with the 16th pick Justin Patton in exchange for Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and the 7th pick Lauri Markkanen. This is a huge move for both franchises, and today we're here to break down what this means for both teams and try to decide who won the trade. What's up guys, my name is Mark, and I'm just gonna say the NBA offseason so far is already 10 times more interesting than the NBA playoffs. So let's dive right into this trade. First, let's see what this trade means for the Chicago Bulls. A while back I made a video talking about whether or not the Bulls should trade Jimmy Butler, and in that video I said that the biggest reason for trading Jimmy Butler is for the Bulls to be able to essentially tear down the team and go into full rebuilding mode. And that's exactly what they did. They received Zach LaVine, who before his injury showed some really nice flashes and quietly averaged 18.9 points per game on 46% shooting from the field and 38% from 3. They also get Chris Dunn, the 4th pick in the 2016 draft, who didn't have a great rookie season but did show some potential as another uber athletic guard. The Bulls also land 7th pick Lauri Markkanen. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Markkanen because we haven't yet seen him play in the NBA, but he was drafted as a 7-footer with 3-point range. He's not a great defender nor a great rebounder, and those are damning weaknesses for a modern-day big man, so it'll take some time to develop him into a consistent NBA player. Honestly, I think Jalen Rose's comparison of him to Channing Frye is pretty on point. Now back to Butler. So I know it probably hurts as a Bulls fan to see your team trade away your best player in exchange for unproven assets, but in the long term, this is the best move for their franchise. I do personally believe in Jimmy Butler as a number 1 option, but the Bulls A, don't have enough assets to surround him with enough talent, and B, doesn't really have a trustworthy front office that is capable of making good decisions to propel them to championship contention. Last summer, the Bulls management said that they wanted to get younger and faster, and everyone was dumbfounded when they instead went and got Wade and Rondo, which turned into an 8th seed playoff appearance and a first-round exit. With this trade, it now finally seems like they actually do want to get younger and faster. Chicago's definitely in for a couple of rough seasons, no question, and they will and should tank this next year. It's gonna be painful for the fans, but it's the best move for the future. The biggest question mark to me that this left behind, however, is that what are the other offers the Bulls had? No question that with a player like Jimmy Butler on the trade market, many teams were making them offers, like the Celtics, Lakers, and Cavs, and probably a lot more teams that weren't reported. Especially the Celtics, who by all means had enough assets to make a better offer for Jimmy Butler than the Timberwolves could have. So hopefully down the road, we can see some reports that come out that can possibly shed some light on what happened there. On paper though, while it does seem like they didn't get enough in return, this trade does make sense for Chicago, especially if they're betting on the fact that one of these 3 players they receive will one day be as good as Jimmy, which is far from a guarantee, but still possible. Okay, now let's talk about the Timberwolves side. First off, I am so happy for Tom Thibodeau. This man got screwed over by the Bulls front office and received a lot of undue criticism from the media and fans when people questioned the tough practices he held for his team, forgetting the fact that he has easily been a top 10 or even top 5 coach of the last 10 years because his results speak for themselves. Now, Jimmy Butler is reunited with the coach that he himself credits as being one of the biggest reason he went from a 30th overall pick to an NBA All-Star. He is also surrounded with 2 of the best young players in this league, Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, who are arguably already better than any other 2 players Jimmy Butler has ever been surrounded with. Seeing as Butler only became a star after Rose got injured and after Joakim Noah started to decline, and last year he played with a Wade and Rondo that were past their primes. What's another big bonus for the Timberwolves is that they added a player in Jimmy Butler who, when he wants to be, is one of the best wing defenders in the league. So the Timberwolves last year actually ranked 10th in offensive rating, but they fell to a 32-50 record because of their 27th ranked defense. You guys might remember that coming into the league, Andrew Wiggins was not only hyped as a freak athlete, he was also hyped as a lockdown defender. And while he's been every bit the scorer we expected him to be, he has not been the defender we expect him to be. He showed some flashes defending guys like LeBron and Harden, especially during his rookie year, but Timberwolves fans could tell you that he doesn't always make good decisions defensively and that sometimes he just seems a bit disengaged, which is uncharacteristic of a young player. Of course, it always helps a player defensively when he's surrounded by other good defensive players, and Wiggins deserves some slack because he was playing heavy minutes alongside LaVine and Ricky Rubio, both of which are below average defensive players. Now, with Butler, I expected Timberwolves defense to be a lot better than last season. However, I will point out my one concern with Jimmy Butler on the Timberwolves, and that's how he and Andrew Wiggins will fit together. So I'm going to show you something that illustrates my point perfectly. This is the split of the percentage of field goal attempts Jimmy Butler took last year based on distance from the rim. Now, look at the same split for Andrew Wiggins, and you'll see a striking similarity. While both players have improved significantly as three-point shooters, neither took more than 4 per game last season, and they both like scoring in isolation and off the dribble in mid-range, so now that they're teammates, they'll both have to get used to spotting up for threes more. I'm also curious as to what this trade potentially means for Derrick Rose coming to Minnesota. During their last season together, there were a lot of reports about how Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler didn't like playing with one another, and while both Rose and Butler acknowledged that they weren't the best of friends, they did make it clear that they had no issues playing together as teammates. With the Timberwolves absorbing Jimmy Butler's contract, which is more than Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine combined, it could make it a little more difficult to sign Derrick Rose, especially if Rose is looking for a team that can offer him the near max. But we'll see on that. The Timberwolves also landed 16th pick Justin Patton, an intriguing prospect that literally grew 9 inches this past year and has shown potential as a stretch 4 or stretch 5 that can also play defense. So bottom line, I think it's obvious that the Timberwolves won this trade on paper, simply because Jimmy Butler is a top 15 player in the league. And I still think that the Bulls didn't get enough in return, especially seeing as Jimmy Butler still has 2 seasons left in his contract and the young players in return are far from guaranteed stars. But long term, as you take into context the inevitable direction the Bulls had to go in, and that it didn't seem like either Cleveland or Boston were willing to give up much for Butler, this might have been the only choice for the Chicago Bulls. So, the Jimmy Butler era has officially ended in Chicago, and the Big 3 era now begins in Minnesota. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. Go ahead, drop your thoughts on the trade down in the comment section below. To the ones who are subscribed to this channel already, thank you so much for watching. Your support is my oxygen. It's what keeps me going. To the ones that haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe. We got trade breakdowns, free agency breakdowns, offseason previews, draft analysis, all summer 17 here at MDJ, where we talk everything NBA. See you next time.
Feeling kinda strange, feeling kinda off. Don't know what's really going on. I feel like something's up and I can only guess the cause.